Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my second ever unhaul. I did one of these at the start of 2019 and I will put the link up there so you can see that. And it's actually one of my most viewed videos, which I find really interesting. I also love watching unhaul videos. I think I prefer them to hauls because it's almost more interesting to see what people are getting rid of. But anyway, I've got 30 books to talk to you about today. So we're going to get on with it. I'm not going to go into loads of details about these books because I've talked about all of them before in wrap-ups, but I will explain why I'm getting rid of them. Quite a few of them featured on my favourite reads of last year's video, which I will also link up there and in the description. But I will only keep books if I gave 4 or 5 stars and I want to reread them at some point, or the only exception to that is if I'm like collecting them, like my Outward collection, although I'm anticipating giving all of those 4 or 5 stars. So these are books that I might have really enjoyed, but I'm not going to reread. So there's quite a few thrillers in here for that reason, because it's quite rare that I reread a thriller. And then also there are obviously the books that I didn't enjoy. There's quite a few in here that were my most disappointing reads of last year. And these are books that I've been kind of collecting over the last couple of months, putting to one side once I finish my wrap up, knowing that I'm not going to reread or that I don't want to keep them for whatever reason. And so I thought I would go through them with you today. Once I finish with these, some are going to friends that have already bagsied them, friends and family that bagsied them. Some of them will go to charity shop. Some are going to go into a bag for, I've got a giveaway basically that I'm planning for some point this year. So some of these are really nice editions, or they're popular books, or they're in good condition. And so I'm going to pop them into the prize pot for that giveaway. And then if you are based in the UK and you see any of these that you think you might fancy, then let me know, drop me a comment below or DM me on Twitter or Instagram. I'm quite happy to post within the UK if you want them, no cost. I'm just happy to pass them on. So let me know if you want any of them. I'll let you know which ones have already been bagsied when you message me. So yeah, let's get into these because there's a lot to get through. So first up, we have got The Friend Request by Laura Marshall. Read this last year. It was okay. It was a very like middle of the road thriller for me. I'm not going to reread it, so out it goes. Next, I told you I'm going to go fast, is He Said, She Said by Erin Kelly. I know there was a lot of hype around this book. I didn't love it. Again, it's a thriller. I won't reread it. It was quite interesting, but I'm not going to reread it, so it's going. Then we've got, this might be a bit of a weird one given that I'm running a Margaret Atwood reread, but this is a collection of her poetry, Eating Fire. It is selected poetry from 1965 to 1995. This is actually going to go and live with my brother. He loves poetry. I struggle with poetry, as I think a lot of people do. I have read this collection because I had to study it at uni, but I'm just not going to read it again. I'm sure her poetry is really good if you're into it, but it doesn't really do anything for me. And it's just taking up space on my shelf, and I was tempted to keep it because it's an Atwood book, but I'm collecting her novels and this is poetry, and plus my brother wants to read it, so I can go and live with him and hopefully he will enjoy it. Next we've got The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I think I made my views on this quite well known when I read this. I read it for Thrillerathon in the summer and it was not for me. I gave it 2 stars, so that can go as well. Then we've got Best Day Ever by Cara Ruda. I really enjoyed this. This was a really fun thriller. And you can see on the top it says, A Loving Husband, The Perfect Killer. It was really fun. I would definitely read more from her. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I'm just not going to reread it, so out that one goes. Then we've got 84K by Claire North. I struggled quite a bit with this book because it's got a really interesting premise and setup, but I just found the way it was written like quite difficult and quite a slog to get through. I am going to try some more Claire North because I've heard a few people, particularly Harriet Rosie Reads, talk about other ones of hers and the concepts sound interesting, but I'm definitely not going to reread this one. Then I got Still Alice by Lisa Genova. I really love this, and if you're looking for non-fiction, I would really, really recommend this. Is this non-fiction? No, it's not. It's based on a true story, and also I'd really recommend the film. But a few of my friends and family have read this. It's kind of done the rounds and I'm not going to read it again. Then we've got The Sister by Louise Jensen. By the time this goes up, you'll have had my December wrap up, which I will put up here. I read another Louise Jensen book, The Family, in December, and much like The Sister, it was kind of middle of the road psychological / family drama, psychological thriller / family drama. It was okay. I've got no interest in reading it again. So much like the others, out it goes. Then I've got 3 Giovanna Fletcher books. I went through a phase in 2018 where I read her entire backlist. I think at the time it was partly because I really enjoyed following her on social media and I'd actually never read anything of hers, and I was recovering from an operation I had to have, and so I wanted something that would be fairly easy to read. So I picked up all of her books. The others I've already unhauled, but these ones are going to go now as well because I'm just not going to go back to them. I thought they were okay. I think, so we've got Always With Love, Some Kind of Wonderful, and You're the One That I Want. And I think Some Kind of Wonderful was my favourite one. I mean, they're absolutely fine. They're women's, like, contemporary fiction. Nothing particularly bad about them or good about them. I think they're all fairly middle of the road, like 3 stars, but I'm just not going to reread them, so somebody else can hopefully enjoy them. I'm building like this massive leaning tower of books to my left. Next is Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan. Hopefully I've said that right. I really liked this and thought it was really good. Really enjoyed it. It's very short, but again, I'm just not going to reread it, and it's just taking up space on my shelf for other books, so that one's going out. Then I've got Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I really liked this. I mean, I've seen really mixed reviews for it because it's a bit of a Marmite book, but I thought it was really clever. I probably will reread this, but if I reread it, it'll be on audio because it's on-scribed, so the physical book can go, although I am a bit sad because it's got a really nice orange spine and it does look good on the shelf, but I'm not going to reread it, so it's going. And then I've got a Karen Slaughter book, The Kept Woman. This was my first Karen Slaughter book that I read, I think, in 2018. It's part of the Will Trent series, and it just wasn't for me. I've since read Pretty Girls, Pieces of Her, and The Good Daughter, and loved those. And I think for me, like, her standalones are going to be the way forward. This one is fine. It's midway through the Will Trent series. I think it's like book maybe 7 or 8, I think. It's fine. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I didn't love it, and again, it's just taking up space. Next is a book that made it onto my most disappointing books of the year list, and that was Educated by Tara Westover. I've already talked about this at length in that video and also in the wrap-up when I read it, and not for me. I'm not going to reread it. Then there's a book that went on to my favourite reads of 2019 list, and that is the last one by Alexandra Olivia. This was very clever, one of the most original kind of thrillers that I've read. Really recommend it, but I've read it, so it's one of those books where once you've read it, you probably don't need to reread it. Again, I think it's on Scribe, so if I do want to reread it, I'll pick it up there, but for now, this copy of it does also, I really love like brightly coloured spines, as you'll probably see from these books. Just not going to reread it. It's done the rounds with my friends and family, so it can go now. Next is another book that I really didn't like. I'm pretty sure it was on my most disappointing books of 2018, maybe. I can't remember exactly which year I read it. Well, I DNF'd it, to be fair. And that is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I've talked at length about why I don't like this one. I'm definitely not going to pick it up again. Watch the film. The film's brilliant. I really didn't like this book, and it can definitely go. Next is a book that will be going into the pile for my giveaway that will be coming next year, and that is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. It's an absolutely gorgeous edition, but, and like, look at the image, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, and it does hurt me a little bit to give this away, but it doesn't match the other editions. Where are my classics? Didn't match my other editions, so I actually repurchased it in this edition, so I don't need to. So this one can go into the giveaway pile, and you'll see more about that later in the year. Then I've got a whole pile of classics that I'm getting rid of. So the first was Lolita by Nabokov. I think this was also my most, actually no it wasn't, but it was in my classics wrap up, which I'll leave linked in the description. I've already talked about my issues with this book. I'm absolutely not going to read it again, and I don't even want it on my shelf. It's one of those books, it's like I don't even want that on my shelf, so that's going. And then I've also got 3 of these paperback Penguin English Library editions, and I know loads of people love these. I don't, and I think with classics or books that I really enjoyed, I think I'd rather have like nice hardback editions, so I probably will repurchase well, 2 of these definitely, but these paperback editions can go. The first is A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle. It's the first in the Sherlock Holmes series. I was very middle of the road with this. I was hoping that I was gonna like get drawn in and love it and want to read more. It's really ambivalent, so that can go. A book that I tried to love but just couldn't manage was Dracula by Bram Stoker. I might try this again soon, well at some point probably in the next year or so. If I do, I will buy probably a hardback edition. But yeah, didn't love it first time round. And then a book that I'm definitely going to repurchase in a nice edition is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. One of my favourite classics of last year that I read, really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it, but this edition can definitely go. Then I've got a bit of a random non-fiction book, excuse me, I've got a hair somewhere, that I bought for work. That is Leadership and the 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. I bought this when I got promoted about 18 months ago because I was managing people. I then stepped down as team leader, so I don't need this anymore. I've not read it. If anybody wants it, shout me. I'm sure it's useful for what it is, but yeah, I have no need for it anymore, so that's going. Then a book from last year's Mental Health-a-thon, Sparrow by Sarah Moon. This was the group book that Nicole picked. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I saw quite a bit of like mixed thoughts on it. I thought it was lovely, but I'm just not going to read it again. It is this like beautiful like floppy paperback. Oh, look at that. And I do love this cover, but I'm just not going to read it again. And it's also a bit of a weird size, so it doesn't really fit on my shelves. So that's going out into the world. Then I got 2 books from a series that I really enjoyed, and that is The Butterfly Garden and Roses of May by Dot Hutchinson. I think it's called the Collector series. I really enjoyed the first one. I gave it 5 stars, and then this is the second one. Yes. And I really didn't like this. I was really disappointed by this book. I gave it 2 or 3 stars, and then the 3rd and 4th in the series I think I gave 4 stars each, but I read those on audiobooks. I don't have the complete set, and again, I'm not going to reread this series. I did enjoy it overall as a series. I'd probably give it 4 stars, and if you're looking for quite dark crime fiction, I'd recommend these, and they are nice. They're really nice editions, but I'm not going to reread them, so they're going. Okay, then I've got a book that I tried to read and I tried to get on board because social media hype, but I just couldn't, and that was Mrs. Hinch, Hinch Yourself Happy. Not throwing any shade at all, this was just not for me. I tried to read the book, I really struggled with the way it's written, and then I tried to look at some of the cleaning tips, and to be honest, most of it I already know anyway, and anything I don't know, my friend Steph is like a massive hincher, so I can just text her and ask for advice, so I really don't need this book, but hopefully somebody else will get something out of it. I've got 3 left, so we're almost there. This book was gifted to me by the lovely Catherine from KE Reads, and was recommended to me by my friend Hayley in the first place. And then when I met up with Catherine last year, she knew this was on my TBR, she was unwalling it, and so she very kindly gave it to me. That is Small Great Things by Jodie Picoult. I really enjoyed this. It's the first Jodie Picoult I've read in years. I went through a phase when I was younger of reading loads of her work, but hadn't picked anything up for ages. Really enjoyed this. I found it quite impactful. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but it's huge, like it's a brick, and I'm not going to read it again, and I just don't have the space on my shelves, so that's going. Then there was a book that I was really didn't like, The Hanging by Lottie and Soren Hammer. Bought this on a whim from the book barn, and I'm pretty sure we're going straight back to the book barn. If I can find the wrap up that this links to, I will put it in the description, but I read it at some point last year, just was really not into it. It's also a huge, it's like a weird size, so this is like a normal paperback size, and it's this like really tall paperback. It doesn't work on my shelves. I'm not going to read it again, so it's going. I'm just trying to stop a book avalanche happening over here. Hang on a second. There we go. And then the last one. Right, so this is a book that I very much enjoyed when I read it. It was one of my Booktube besties' favourite books of last year, and I'm really hoping that she doesn't hit me when I say that I'm on-hauling this, but it's Sleep by C.L. Taylor, even, can't get the name right, C.L. Taylor. This was one of Nicole's favourite books of last year. I think it was her host pick for Thriller-a-thon, which is when I read it. I very much enjoyed it, and I did get the lovely like hardback edition. But it's one of those books where I've read it, I know the answer. It didn't completely blow me away. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I will read more C.L. Taylor, but for now I don't need this copy anymore, so it's going out into the world. Sorry, Nicole. Please don't hate me. So those are all the books that I am unhauling today. 30 books. I'm feeling really good about clearing all that space off my shelves, ready to fill with new books. My next video will be a haul, so you can see how I'm refilling that space. If you want any of these books and you're in the UK, then please drop me a message, let me know. Happy to post them to you. Like I said, some of them have already been bagsied by friends and family, and the Little Princess copy will be going into the prize for the giveaway that I'm planning. But any of the others, if you want them, you're welcome to have them. Just let me know and I'll post it out to you. And then any that don't get claimed will just be going to the book barn. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if you unhaul books, or do you keep everything that you read? Like, how do you feel about unhauling? I personally love a good unhaul, and now I feel ready to fill my shelves with my new books. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks guys, bye!